Okay, this is a question from the audience. Speaking to the need to address root causes as mentioned in the beginning, it seems two issues are a lack of economic justice and bodily autonomy. Sex work is the only industry where women make more money than men globally. How do we help women make enough money in a job they like and be empowered to choose their own sex partners? And there's a comment that says, it is often a matter of economic survival rather than identity that women sell sex. So.
Okay, I will try to field that.
Okay.
Let's start with, what was the first part of that again, if you could just.
There's two root issues, lack of economic justice and bodily autonomy, and that women globally make more in the sex industry than men. And how do we help women make enough money in a job they like and empower them to choose their own sex partners?
Okay, man, that is a serious question. Boy, here's what I see. Women make more money than men in the sex industry. When we use sex industry, I think people sometimes jumble a whole lot of things in there. Dancers. Here's what I will tell you from my experience. Here's what I will tell you about the people that I am up against. And here's what I'll tell you about the victims that we try to get out. The women make a lot of money. But I think we're missing the boat if we don't talk about what drives many of the girls, many of the women out there. There is a culture that has gone on forever. You know, sometimes I just shudder when I hear the whole this is the oldest profession thing, because I will tell you, in my heart, I believe that there was probably someone somewhere behind the scenes benefiting from her going out there doing that. And that is just what I believe. Now, what I will tell you is that we do have a lot of women making a lot of money. But if you honestly believe that they are keeping that money, and we're talking about prostitution, we're talking about people trafficking women, we're talking about pimps in our community, living in places like Southern Highlands, living in places like Rhodes Ranch, Lake Las Vegas, right? Not living next door to me in Northtown behind Aliante. So when we look at what is happening here, Annie told you, you heard it firsthand. There's no split. There is no, you get 50, I get 50, we both win. You turn over everything in this culture. And if you don't, you're gonna be hurt, likely killed. I have seen it. I have prosecuted it. So, you know, look, I have nothing against anyone that wants to dance. I'm a big equality kind of guy. Someone even called me a feminist. I didn't even know what that was. I had to go look it up, you know? I'm a what? Okay. But what I will tell you is I think everyone should have the right to do what it is that they want to do. And in a perfect world, that would be a great thing, but we don't live in a perfect world. We don't live in a perfect community. We have people creating a violent underworld in this city, right? They are doing it. The same people that say they're going to provide the protection for the girls, for the women, are the same ones that create the problem. They're the same ones that dig the ditches out in the desert and threaten to dump bodies out there. They're the same ones that, you know, that sit outside of our victims' homes because they ran away from them, watching their mother's house. They're the same ones that pick up their little sisters from middle schools and make their little sisters call them on their cell phones and say, guess who I'm having ice cream with, after they've run away. It's not as simple as women make more money than men in this industry, because the guys that we fight are taking everything that they make. What was the second part of that question?
The second part was empower the women to choose their own sex partners.
I think we should empower women, period, right? Look, I got 2 daughters, all right? I was one of those hard-headed people that thought I could do anything I wanted to in life because of what my mom and my dad told me, all right? I saw my mom come up off of welfare to get, what do you have now, a doctorate? I don't even know. I can't even keep up. right? Okay, so I know she's got a master's. I know that, right? Okay, plus, okay. But, I mean, I believe that if we support each other, right, that if we tell women, who cares at what age? They don't have to be your daughter, because I tell the girls that I come across all the time, and I say girls because I'm just a dude, I'm just a boy, I'm just a brother to them. But the people that I deal with all the time, I tell them, listen, you can do whatever you want, you can be whatever you want, but you got to believe it. You got to believe it. And I'm here to tell you every day. You call me when you're feeling sad. You call me when you're having a flashback, and this is after we've convicted the guys that hurt them. I'm not going anywhere. So I think it's about empowering them all the way across the board. It's about talking to them about trafficking. It's about talking to them about sex. It's about talking to them about the culture of things in this city, about the billboards, right? About the people handing out flyers on the strip, about what we're up against in our own community. Because if we don't, there will be someone else willing to educate them. I don't know. I'm a big girl power guy anyway, so I don't know. I don't even know if I answered any of those questions. I did the best I could, but.
Thank you.
You did great.
Would anyone else like to answer the question?
If I may add, that he
Please.
already said, answer everything. We need people like Annie, who has been there, seen it all, to raise awareness. And we need people like myself, who came from nowhere to become almost doctors today, to tell these girls. You talk about empowerment.
Yeah.
If any social worker is in the room, because I'm just a very proud social worker. All we do is empower. Because a lot of these people, these young girls, they have self-esteem issues. And Annie said it all. She was looking for somebody to love her. Why can't I love myself? So if somebody was there for her at that time and say, listen, girl, you're so pretty, you're beautiful, inside and out, anything you want to do, you can do it. Look at me, or look at this person. She would have listened. There was nobody there. That's why some of us want to be there. And everybody in this room, if you can just tell Adia today, sign up, put your name down, anything you can do when that time comes, she can call you. You want to be a mentor, anything that you want to be, those kids need us. Empowerment is the biggest word that you use. Yes.
All right.
Okay, thank you. The second question that we have is, many Nevada judges have said publicly that we cannot properly assist youth trapped in sex trafficking because of a lack of needed funding. How would you propose we fix this problem?
Man, I'll jump on that first. And then I'll let you go. I'm all on this one.
Right.
I disagree. All right, we are in a time where we have got to do the best that we can with what we have got.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now that means that people like me, when we're putting these cases together, we got to figure out the best way to do it with what we have. We can all complain about not having enough money. We can all complain about officers not having enough officers. But at some point, we have to stop complaining because we are losing, because we can't afford to complain anymore. We just have to do. Now, I can tell you that I don't know those district judges that say that they can't, but I sure do know a lot of them that say, I'm down with you. I'm ready to go. What do you need? Let me sign that warrant. How can I help? We have very good judges here. We do. I can't speak for all of them, but I can tell you, I can speak for about 8 of them. You know, there's only so many. So it just bothers me when I hear we can't do something because of money, right? I can tell you that our team takes money, right? We don't get to keep it, but we're taking whatever we can from these fools. We want their cars, we want their jewelry, we want everything that we can take, and we want to sell it. and we want to bring it back into our community. And that's what we do with it. Like 80% of the money that we make, or 85, I can't remember the exact number, goes into Clark County School District to buy computer equipment for the kids. So we're talking now about, you know, targeting people that we know are selling women, are hurting women. We get those convictions, we get that money. We take those cars, we take their assets, because that's what gives them power. They're nothing without it. They're weak, they're scared. They're crying to their attorneys once we've taken that stuff. And their attorneys are like, you gotta pay me. I wanna defend you, but I gotta get paid. And if they can't pay them, guess who they're stuck with? Public defenders are awesome. You know, hey, listen, if there's any out here, they're great. But public defenders have, 30 cases that they got to worry about. That's who I want defending this guy. I want him to be, case number 29. So, when we leave here, don't feel like we can't do something, because I can tell you, I'm not complaining. If I got to work 15 hours, I work 15 hours to get somebody's daughter safe to bring her home. I can tell you everyone on my team has worked. Man, sometimes I don't even get to see my family because of how we work. And I would challenge everyone here to do the same, because we're at a point where we have got to just roll up our sleeves and fight for one another. So we got people here coming praying on us.
Okay, thank you.
Boy, I don't know.
I know that look, Chris. Okay, my turn. There's a lot of things that you can do. In my first session in 2009, AB 380 was passed, and it was a civil, went after the traffickers civilly. And starting at the age of 17 down, it started, if they were convicted of pandering, of trafficking a minor, the civil penalty, their exposure started at $100,000. And the younger the victim, the higher the civil exposure was. It got down to under 14. The civil exposure went up to $500,000. So there are some tools. AB 106, that unfortunately was not heard, went after the buyers. Wouldn't it be sweet if one of the buyers of these, or renters, now I guess you could really say, they don't buy them, they rent them, because these young victims are rented 10 to 15 times a day. But if a buyer had to call home and say, sweetheart, would you go to the banker tomorrow and put a third or fourth mortgage on the house, because I can't get out of Las Vegas unless I pay $35,000 or $40,000. We need to do something, folks. Now we have some stuff going after the traffickers, after the pimps. We have to refine that and do a better job. Chris's boss, Lieutenant Karen Hughes, wants me to readjust that, and I'm going to be doing that. But we have never adequately gone after the buyers. We need to go after the buyers. And when I say we, collectively, because when you talk to those politicians, that's part of that pledge to you, that they will fight human trafficking. The buyers are probably one of the largest equation. You wouldn't have a pimp come to this town if there were no buyers. And I'm going to take I did 30 years in law enforcement. Chris will understand me. I have a beat cop mentality. I don't care what happens in somebody else's beat. My beat is Assembly District 2, Clark County, and the state of Nevada. I don't give a flip what happens in Florida or Minnesota or Wisconsin. They have got to address that issue. If we can get it off our block, out of our state, other states will look at us and say, they're doing something right, and then we'll do the same thing. Right now, Texas is doing a good job. We got a D. Let's raise that, please. But again, it's your job. I can write the words, but it's your job to make sure you hold my feet to the fire and every other politician's feet to the fire until they get blistered. They'll do what you want eventually. All right, what's the next one?
Thank you. Okay, the final question is, more humans are trafficked for agricultural and domestic work than for sex. Why is human trafficking often so paired with sex instead of looking at the issue of service work of different kinds?
I'll take that first bite of that one. Whoever raised the question, you're absolutely correct. But unfortunately, on my beat, in this community, it's the sex trade is number one. Human trafficking, all of its aspects, not only the sex trade, agricultural worker, involuntary servitude aspects, is a $32 billion business. It's now, well, it's the third largest. You have drugs, guns, and trafficking. It's going to be the second most, because when you sell guns, you have to get more guns. When you sell drugs, you have to get more drugs. But when you're trafficking, your commodity stays there. That's why I'm not saying buying anymore. They're renting 10 to 15 times a day, 6 days a week. It's expected between 2015 and 2017, human trafficking will be the #1 illicit money maker in the world. So a huge portion of that outside this valley is agriculture. About a year and a half, 2 years ago, the pineapple fields in Hawaii, they had Thai nationals being paid substandard wages. The owner of that pineapple field was another Thai national living in San Francisco in a very nice area. Yeah, agriculture area and domestic, particularly in some of the larger cities around this country. And I'm sorry, I don't live that far from Chris. I'm not sure how many people, and I just don't know if there are that many people in Aliante, Queens Ridge, or some of the more affluent areas that have domestic, whether the Winds or the Adelsons have domestic. It's not in my thought process, because I've been focused on the sex trade. But I'm sure that could be an issue in our community. But I believe the largest one in our community is the sex trade. And Chris would have to prove me correct or wrong. Or the social workers in the area would have to, and I'd love to stand corrected, I guess. But let's get all of trafficking out. If we can get
Yes.
human trafficking out, if we can get the sex trade out of our community, other things will follow. Because the market just dries up. Chris?
Oh, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, we got to look at where we live at. For us, you're right, though. You're absolutely right. Agricultural trafficking is a major money maker all over this country. Unfortunately, we're not an agricultural city, so we really don't get a whole lot of that here. We do get some sporadically that we investigate, but for the most part, what we deal with here is going to be trafficking, whether that is going to be pimps, whether it's going to be brothels, like neighborhood brothels, whether it's going to be what's going on with the massage parlor issues. That is where we see it in our community, and it reaches every culture, it reaches every race. You know, we've got Mexican, Latinos being trafficked. We've got Asians being trafficked. We've got black, white, you name it. We're all under fire. But here, what we have to be most concerned about, just because of the climate, the clubs, the billboards, the way we sell the city, is the sex trafficking. And they know it all the way from D.C. to New York to Hawaii. And that's why they come. And that's why they bring victims here. But that does not mean that we should discount. It's a great point, but we don't have a whole lot of agriculture here.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to commend our community leaders here as the panelists. They posed amazing opportunities to empower each and every one of you in the audience, that you have the possibility and the potential to do and to make change and make a difference in our community. And I just wanted to thank you all for coming and for sharing your passion and for standing
May I make
here.
Another comment?
I'm
May
sorry?
I make another comment?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is strictly. I'm going to ask a rhetorical question. Do not raise your hands. I don't want a hand showing. But any of you belong to a faith-based community, please talk to your religious leaders. The Episcopal Church, last March, the last weekend of March of last year, every Episcopal church in this community had a sermon on human trafficking. This coming May, the Methodist Church is having a worldwide conference. Where? in Las Vegas. The Methodist Church has selected 4 cities to fight human trafficking. Guess what's number 1 on their list? Las Vegas. The Jewish Federation, the Episcopal bishop, the 2 Catholic bishops in this state, the Methodist bishops are becoming more and more involved and aware. Please go back to your faith-based communities. We need that. I can remember the Civil Rights March in the 60s, 50s and 60s, Dr. Martin Luther King. We need something very similar in this community. We need all of you to stand and march and tell people to stop. Thank you for the extra time.
Okay. Yes, thank you. So you may return to your seats. I'm going to close out the program. We're running a little bit over time, excuse me, but I would like to bring Grace up one more time. She has something that she would like to share with you. Thank you.
Right. We're all very, very, very inspired. Thank you, Annie, Esther, Malachi, Selger, Ayele, Chris, John, and Maria for such an inspirational message that you gave to everybody today. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for everybody who showed up in this room. We need everybody's help. We're accepting donations for Heal Africa, the Embracing Project. We're also accepting donations for Congo Justice and Positive Parenting, A Freer Child. When you guys are going to be heading out, outside in the lobby will be 2 tables where you can give your contribution. And it doesn't stop right there. There's so many ways you can support. Get involved. Give 1 donation to Heal Africa in support of their work on the ground in Eastern Dominican Republic of Congo. A monthly donation for Congo Justice will also help support outreach and awareness in raising events such as this one. And I'm sure all of you guys agree we need more of these events in this community, right? If you're kind enough to become a monthly contributor, we will give you a free shirt and a bracelet. You can also purchase a t-shirt and a bracelet if you want to, help contribute. You can also, another way you can also help, you can volunteer. Any of these organizations, they seek volunteers. And you can just sign up, like I said, outside of the table. You can become a volunteer and you can be part of us in helping create our community. Just like Malachi said, it takes a village to raise a child, and it's up to us to work together by unity to be able to help the future. Thank you. I just got word that we have a special guest, Shujaha El Amin. He's a professional boxer. He's very inspired by what happened today, so he has a special message to you guys.
How everybody doing today? I can't hear y'all. How everybody doing today? Oh, that's good. Everybody I was on the panel and everybody that came before me said really great inspirational things, that really motivated me. You know, and I was thinking like, dang, what can I say now? You know, because they didn't say it at all. You know, but what I can say, you know, I was thinking of a scripture. It says that God will not change the condition of a people unless they change the condition themselves. You know, all that rape and stuff that's going on in Africa and even over here in America, it take us to do something about it. You know, we just can't wait on God when God got us here. You know, so we can't just depend on God. We got to depend on ourselves. We got to pray to God, and we got to act like everything depend on us. And that's how we got to go about things. That's how things get done. That's how things got done in the past, by doing it yourself. You know, you can get up and pray, but if you sit in your house and do nothing, that prayer is dead. Because the Bible says faith without work is dead. So we got to get up and work and do something. And those people, I wrote down something, you know, because this is what I was taught growing up as a young man. It says that a real man is one who reflects the Spirit of God. That's a real man. So we have to be protectors of our women. You know, we got to stand up like real men. A real man is the first one to die on this post. He's a protector for his woman and his wife in his village. You know, so we have to stand up. In America, we have to stand up. In Africa, we have to stand up wherever we are and not compromise as a man. So I'll leave y'all with that. I want to say more, but I know time don't permit it. So I'll leave y'all in the greeting words of peace.
Thank you all for an amazing evening, to our guest presenters and panelists, and for all those who attended. We really appreciate your presence, and we hope that we can see you out in the community, working for the community, working to build a better and brighter future for each other and for our future generations. Thank you. Have a good evening.